All right. You ready? All right, because it's going to be quick and it might not be painless, but depending on obviously which side you're on, depending on if you're a baseball fan or not, I guess. So we have been eagerly awaiting what is going to transpire, what's going to be the outcome of this lockout that started way back in December. And it's been obvious over the course of the last few months that the sides can't come into an agreement on pretty much anything. I know both sides have given up something. I know the DH is now in place to be, universal for the National League to adopt that. I know they're still trying to hash out other things as far as expanded playoffs or whatnot, but the main concerns for the most part, which I mean, again, it's kind of complicated if you try to break it down, but for the most part, I think a lot of it's the luxury tax and a few other main sticking points from both sides. But the reason why I'm coming on today, and again, I'm going to keep it short and simple, but they literally came out, and by they, the MLB has basically come out and said, listen, we are not opposed to canceling a month's worth of games. So that's where they are at right now. So today was given the deadline. We all knew that February 28th was the deadline to which MLB says if we do not strike a deal by today, we're going to miss games. And the reason being is now the regular season was set to open, I believe, on the 31st of this upcoming month, which is March. So, and given that they want at least 4 weeks of spring training before the season can start, if a deal is not made by today, you're not going to get 4 weeks of spring training. Therefore, you're not going to get enough in between, before the season's supposed to open. So you're not going to get an opening day of March 31st. But MLB said, listen, if we don't strike a deal by today, now whether this is a threat or this is a scare tactic remains to be seen. I don't know when the actual deadline is. It's now almost 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So what is the deadline usually? 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock of that day. So who knows? But if nothing is done by today, we can very well miss a month. And I want to know how you guys feel about that. I've actually come out and said, I'm sure my tune will change if the season actually did start and we actually got baseball this year. But I'm at the point where, and drop a comment. Let me know if you agree with my sentiments. But I don't even care if baseball's canceled altogether. My team, and if you haven't figured out yet, Mets have made a huge splash. They did a lot of movement, a lot more movement than other teams have. Along with the Rangers, and I think Seattle also did some movements before the offseason, before the lockdown, I should say. But for the most part, the Mets made a huge splash. We all know that they picked up Scherzer. They picked up pretty much a whole new outfield in Marte, Kana, and and then of course getting guys like Eduardo Escobar to help out in the infield. And we know that they're not done there. So that being said, all these pieces and all the hope that was instilled into not only the organization, but to the fan base. It would suck to not have an actual season and you would always have that, well, what if they would have actually played? Now, and I don't think we're going to lose a whole season. So, I know that's probably not going to happen. There's no way both sides let that happen, especially the owners. I mean, they lose a lot of money. But I'm like, I really don't give a shit now. I really don't care. Like, I should be into, like, it's obviously spring training and the whatever should have been already well underway with the pitchers and catchers. We're supposed to report mid this month. And, should be talking about baseball. We should be talking about our hopes and what's going to happen with our teams. And, look, free agency never even ended, and that's another thing that is good, that should be fun. Let's say the lockdown was to end by today. There's going to be a shitload of acquisitions and trades and a whole bunch of movements that couldn't have been done from when the lockdown started back in December up until now, because everything was on a hold. Everything was frozen. So all the deals that haven't been made yet, and the free agents that haven't been signed yet, or the trades that haven't been made yet, things are going to be done like it's just going to be boom, 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 boom. It's going to be an exciting time, especially if your team is in the mix or in a part of those deals. But for the most part, like, when as a fan do you say, like, enough is enough? Like, this should have been, you knew that the CBA, what do you call it? The agreement that was put in place, and you knew the contract was going to expire by the end of last year. Given what given all the fans have went through, and the organizations, don't get me wrong, I know the owners felt it too, but everything that transpired over the last course of 2 years, 2020 had a 60-game shortened season to no fans whatsoever. For the most part last year, up until maybe, I want to say, what, like July or August for the most part. I know there were some stadiums that opened full, I think earlier in the year if they were able to, but look, you weren't even able to get full capacity until like the summer of last year. So there was so much baseball that was missed. So many fans missed out on going to games, with either mandates or just financially. Let's just also put that in there. Who can afford to go to a game? Like, that's not even a priority right now anyway. But given what the fans and even the sport of baseball has gone through over the last 2 years, why even let it get down to the final hour, to the 11th hour, or whatever the term is? I'm blanking right now, but I think it's called like the 11th hour. But like, why are you letting it get down to the wire like this, to the point where there's a threat of missing any game? And it's just, I again, look, I don't want to vilify either side. It's as simple as that. I'm not here to vilify the owners. I'm not here to vilify the players and the union. I work for a union. I have a unionized job. So if there are things that aren't being done to our standards or the union standards, and we feel as as a whole, or as a group, that we deserve more, or we should get more, or we're entitled to more, by all means, I'm for that, the leverage or the holding out. Okay, fine. And from the organization's side and the owner's side, look, it's a business. And at the end of the day, it's about not only how much I'm going to make money, or how I'm going to make money, I should say, but how can I increase revenue or increase profits, or, well, basically it's about revenue. So I don't want to vilify either side, but as I said, in the long run, if things continue the way they are, especially if you miss a month, I think it's absolutely detrimental to the feel and the whole psyche of the sport and the way it's perceived now by the fans. I mean, look, let's break it down even further. You take that 1994 lockout, the 1994 strike, right? Where there was no baseball. Like, baseball was literally stopped. I think they played maybe 2 or 3 months. I can't remember exactly when they went on strike, but over a half season was lost. And baseball almost never recovered from that. And the only reason why they did recover was because of the steroid era. And that's why they turned a blind eye. And I know, and there's a lot of argument, and I hear it. I get it. A lot of people are on record saying, listen, you guys turned a blind eye because you knew it was increasing your revenue. You knew it was increasing your product and putting your product on the map again and making it relevant again, where fans were coming to stadiums again. And now you want to kind of like vilify these players that literally put you on the map again, like McGwire and Sosa and Bonds, and if you want to argue Clemens or whatever. But it was more of a home, like, people were tuning in, going to parks, because we were seeing home runs at a record level back there, back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. And, and I'm obviously old enough to not only remember the 94 strike, but also remember, the whole steroid era. And, and I was a huge fan of Bonds, and huge fan of like the home runs and, the Sosa and McGwire thing. I mean, like everybody, I was tuned in. I couldn't wait when McGwire, I remember where I was when McGwire broke the record. I actually made it home just in time to see it. So what's going to happen now is what I'm basically saying. What are they going to need to put baseball back to where it may, one can even argue, is baseball even there at that point? We know NFL passed them years ago, decades ago. I think the NFL is just all the way up here, and I think baseball is just all the way down here. I think it's getting to a point where the NBA is actually, or even the NHL might even catapult over them if it haven't already. What what you're doing is you're hurting your sport more than you're helping it. You may be all tied up and trying to like line your wallets better, or like I said, increase the money in your bank account better, or like I said, as far as the on the player side, uh make sure that what you're playing for and being in the league and getting what you think you're entitled to, by all means go after it. um I mean, most of the things that they're fighting for really have nothing to do with the players making millions of dollars anyway, to be honest with you. They're really not even wrapped in that conversation. It's more about the guys that aren't making that amount of money, and I get it. So, anybody that's like, "Well, aren't they making enough money?" Well, the what's being argued is that the ones at the bottom aren't making enough money, or they have to be they have to be uh what is it? I forgot how many years of service before they're entitled to either get a pay bump or become a free agent. So I think that's what they're fighting for. So it's not just millionaires versus billionaires, but I think there just comes a time, and I'll wrap it up after this. I think it comes a time where I'm not saying that you have to put either your goals, your morals, or um, anything else like that on the back burner. But there are also comes a time where it's like you have to basically weigh the pros and cons of what exactly you're doing, and maybe you strike a deal. Hell, maybe you strike a deal by the end of today, and this whole video right now is literally irrelevant. Maybe a month of baseball isn't canceled, but I'm just thinking long term, what effects this is going to have on the sport itself if this happens and if this is done. Now, again, I know I'm saying this now, and I'm saying, let's pretend baseball started May 1st instead of March 31st, right? And we miss an entire month of baseball. Am I gonna sit here and tell you, come the middle of May, end of May, my team is doing good, or I'm getting wrapped up in all the whether the hype or just wrapped up in the game because hell, there's nothing else on. Am I gonna say I'm not gonna watch? No, but I can also say I'm not gonna go to a game. I'm not gonna go to a stadium. I'm not gonna spend all that money for not for something that I just feel should have been fixed months ago. And I just wondered if there's anybody else that feels that way. I mean, that's the only way you can really kind of like boycott baseball, if you think about it. These owners and organizations make money on TV deals anyway. MLB makes money in other avenues and other ways of revenue. But I think for the most part, I know a lot of fans would be plenty pissed if this happens, and I know I'm one of them. Am I going to stop watching the game? No, because it's on. But we still have other sports that are not only becoming, like I said, more popular, but they're creating ways to make it fun. They're creating ways to make it a better sport to watch and a better product. And I think baseball needs to be careful uh, which way they teeter and which way they go and what road they decide to travel, because right now it's a dangerous one. At least I think I could be totally wrong, and I could just be literally like blurting out nonsense right now. But for the most part, I think what I think most people can get around. Again, I don't want to sound like I don't know, like a disheartened fan, or just like an angry fan, or just like a whiny baby. But I think MLB and the Players Association, or just MLB in general, should just be better. Be better at what you're doing, because this could blow up in your face if it's not done the right way. So that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, I just came. It was just a little bit of shock again. I kind of figured they're probably going to miss some games. I don't know if they're going to miss the full month. Again, I think that's more of a threat and like a scare tactic from from MLB side. But who knows? Because if you're the Players Association and you are fighting for what you're fighting for, uh, are you going to back down based on that? Like, all right, well, look, guess what? It's going to hurt our pockets, but it's going to hurt your pockets more. So I think at the end of the day, I think MLB is going to be hurt the most, whether it's from the player side or just like I said, the fan side and the repercussions that they're going to have to reap from all this from the fans. And that's it. Been Just Your Average Joe with another episode of the Batter's Box. Haven't been on here in a while talking about baseball, of course, because there really was nothing to talk about. I really do hope it gets resolved. I hope I get to talk about free agency again and players being signed, players being traded. I know my team, even though they made a huge splash back in December right before the lockout, I know they still have moves that they need to make. And I know a lot of other organizations have still yet to even make their moves. So I think it's going to be an exciting time once we get the ball rolling. So guys, like I said, drop a comment. Let me know how you feel about all this. Let me know if you're kind of disgruntled as am I. Or I don't know, are you inclined to go out to games this summer based on what's going on? I mean, like I said, there's a lot of other factors. I mean, after the last couple of years, I know financially it's been tough on me as well. So even talking about going to a game, even if the game started tomorrow, I don't know if I'd even be able to go anyway. But all right, guys, enjoy your day. I'll come on if there's any other news, either, obviously if something breaks today, maybe I'll come on later tonight, but I'll definitely be on again soon. And hopefully the next time I am on, it's good news. But either way, guys, enjoy your day, and I will see you all really soon, or I'll talk to you all really soon at least.